Okay, so you already have the academic calendar. Because if you look at the bottom left of the screen,
Oh my God. Yes.
you have that.
Wow. Oh, thank you. And I've just wasted 900 MB, I think, to get the next one. Thank you, sir.
So
Let me stop
Daniel,
sharing.
Sunday, you're saying something basically. Can you come again? Can you repeat your question again? Daniel still here? Yeah, I guess. Everyone is lost. So let's try and do something. Meantime.
Hello, sir. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Moses,
sir.
your
So,
hands is up.
Can I hear you, sir?
Yes, I'm trying to open something. But William, I think you have a question. Hand is up. Can you attend to that first?
sir, you mean me?
Your hand is up. Said if you raise your hand
Yes,
up
sir.
if you
Yes,
have.
sir.
Let's hear it then.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sorry, I've already installed the UiPath Studio, but there was another program you asked us to install. I don't know if that's necessary to install it or I can continue with just the UiPath Studio.
But it's just UiPath Studio you're going to be using for. There's no other program.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're all set, man. UiPath. Okay, Toby, your hand is up. Unmute yourself and
Good evening, sir.
good evening, Toby.
Yeah, I actually just joined it today. I actually came in
Welcome.
late yesterday, so I just joined as a fresh to this evening. So I actually went to UiPath to register. I think that should be the first thing I need to do, I guess.
First thing you need to do is register on our LMS.
Yes, I've done the registration, but they were asking me when is the program gonna end, the start date and the end date.
Okay, so because that field is not common, you have to. But then if you insist that you must fill it, you can put September 5th start date.
Okay.
And because the course is going to run 10 weeks, and
You said?
it's then because the course is going to run for 10 weeks, you can put your end date as November. So
Okay. So after then, what's the next
after then
thing?
you request for your license.
Okay, where am I gonna
Once you
say I'm gonna, because now I've done with the registration. So I'm trying to look
fill the
where,
form.
yeah, so I'm trying to look at where I'm gonna
So the next
request.
thing is to check your mail. I
Okay.
believe you put an email into the form when you are filling it.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Check that email. You should receive a message by part giving listing some steps that you should follow again. It should give you a link to download Studio, and then it should give you a license code. Okay, you get that. Be evenings.
Okay, audible as success.
Michael, I don't understand your question. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, okay. Okay, since someone hands up, that means everyone studio run through. Let's, if William, your hand is up.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. I am confused. I've been hearing element, and I don't know how to get to that part. I've been
Or did you
hearing
register
concerning
on
element.
any website like Academy on it? Because
Yeah, I
LMS
registered
is,
with.
so that is our LMS. LMS is basically, LMS means learning management system. It's just a platform or tool. It's used to organize all your learning, everything we are offering you in this training. Rest assured,
Okay, sir.
once you're on our website, on our LMS, so you have nothing to worry.
Okay, sir. Sorry. And secondly, concerning where I have my course content, I've seen a place where they wrote check before you continue. And I've seen some other things there. When I clicked on a particular place written other resources for UiPath Associate certification, it led me to UiPath's website. I don't know, should I run the program I saw on that website? Should I start learning? Should I click the start learning button there?
Yes, so as the name of the link implied, it's extra resources where you can use to gather more information or have a different perspective on the concepts needed for getting certified as an RPA developer. So my advice to you and everyone that seen that link, been redirected to that website, to look at it, create an account, log in, look at the course content, look at the content, and I'm easy to buttress anything you might learn from this particular training. So I mean, there's some things that I probably miss. Probably are not. It shouldn't be a lot, but then things that probably miss. You can go over. And there's some things that maybe when I'm explaining, you might not get them very well. And not everyone likes being questions. So you could also look through answers Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Ezekiel Purple. Ezekiel Purple. I can't hear you. I see you're muted, but I can't hear anything you're saying. For those just joining also, welcome. Good evening. I'm going to be taking any questions you have regarding any issues, any issues you may have encountered in your setting up or question for training proper.
Huh?
I'm not talking to you, Ezekiel. So if you have any question, please raise your hand and I will attend to you. I will attend to you. Okay, so Ezekiel. Ezekiel. That's something in the chat. Now, that's so the reason why we are doing this, just to assuage your concern, is that we notice that a large amount of people also just joined. Just want to give them the same opportunity you guys have. We will begin classes, continue from where we stopped. We apologize. Any discomfort this is causing you. Ezekiel Purple, your hand is still up. Since there are no more questions, let's go over what we did today for those that were in class. Hopefully, as in video of the on the LMS, right? Link the replay, the LMS. Click that link and go over on pace. Now, yesterday we talked about automation generally, talked about RPA, AI, and the emerging ecosystem. Then industries where we can apply RPA. So, who can tell us what automation means?
Okay, good evening. Can you hear me?
Mr. Simineni.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Who is talking?
Automation is what
Sorry, can I have your name?
Okay, my name is Adejare. Adejare. So automation is putting a system or a structure in place that allows a program to keep running. Oh, this is my network.
I can't hear you clearly.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so automation is a system or is putting a structure in place that allows for continuous activity with or without the the participation of a personnel and human, or at least with minimum input after the automation has been set in place.
That's correct. Automation is setting up in machines or basically any device and minimize human input into. And thank you for that answer. And talked about about automation and some benefits of automation. Automation increases efficiency. Automation reduces accuracy. Hafiz, what is up? Any questions?
Sorry, sir, your voice is kind of breaking.
Yes, I can hardly hear what you're saying.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Is that same for everyone?
Yeah,
I can
so
hear you.
your voice
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It
breaking.
keeps breaking. Yes, it is. It keeps breaking.
Oh, I'm sorry about
Hello.
it. Maybe it's my network.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. My name.
I want to download this.
Your name, please.
My name is Sabi Abba.
Sabi Abbas.
Yes. I can hear you.
What is your question, Sabi?
My question is, this PDF that you are using, how can I get it?
So this PDF and everything you'll be using in our classes are going to be on the LMS. Just you've enrolled in the UiPath RPA course.
Good evening, sir.
Hello?
Yeah,
Can
good evening.
everyone hear me now? Is my voice clearer?
Sir, your network is
Hope it's
still
not.
breaking. My name is George Ujebe. Sir, your network is still breaking.
It's still breaking too now.
Well, I can actually hear you clearly, sir.
But yesterday was
I think it's better. I think it's better now.
Better now.
So I think it should go on a while so that we can access.
Okay, yes, thank you. Now, Sabi was saying something. I did not quite. Sabi Abbas, can you come again?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I'm asking on how I can get this.
Sorry, who is that person talking? Mute yourself, please. If you're not in the question, please mute yourself. Okay, Sabi, you said, how can you get this UiPath studio we're talking about?
I mean, this PDF that you are showing us, how can I get it?
Oh, you mean, okay, this PDF. So I said that the PDF and everything we're going to be using for this training are going to be on the LMS under this course, UiPath RPA. So this PDF in particular is under lesson 1, Robotic Process Automation Basics, lesson 1, student handbook.
Okay.
Okay? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Hafiz.
Lesson 1.
Yes. 1, student handbook.
Thank you so much.
Hafiz. Precious. Hafiz, thank you for muting
Yes, sir.
yourself. Yes.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hand is
good
up,
evening,
so
sir.
good evening.
Yes, sir.
Yes, good evening. So your hand is up. So does that mean you have any question? You have any issue? It's
No, I thought I like the last time that I heard your voice was when you were trying to ask questions about Outlook. I wanted to.
okay.
That's why I was.
You wanted to answer.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So you can lower your hand now.
All right. Thanks very much, sir.
Then Precious also. That the same reason your hand is
Hello,
up.
sir. Hello. Good evening, sir.
Yes. I can hear you. Good evening.
Okay. Uh, my question is, when I log in the UiPath studio, the first time I logged in my email. Can press mute.
Who is that?
Press to mute. I can barely hear myself.
Precious, unmute yourself again and I muted everyone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. When I logged into the UiPath the first time, before I read the documentation, I signed in using my Gmail and stuff. But now I logged out and signed in using the code that was sent, and it's as if that it's still stagnant. Like it didn't show that I'm logged in, or is that how it works?
Yes, that might be how it works. To clear out any doubts, would you mind sharing your screen so I can see exactly what you're seeing and I'll know if you're positive?
Okay, sir. If someone logs into the
Yep.
your iPad, your email will be showing. But
Yes.
if you sign in using that code, it won't display anything like you are signing or something. It's just there, but the system will still be normal as though you are signing.
Yes, so I get what you're saying. So the purpose of the license code now is to allow for extra features. Now, once you put the license code, you can also still sign in email. Because the email now, in this case, is used mainly to connect UiPath Studio to UiPath Cloud and access other packages which are provided on the UiPath platform. Is access orchestrator and everything. So if your email is still showing, I mean, it's fine. Problem if your email is there. But for now, we won't need to put our emails there for now. So it's okay if you're gonna ahead of us.
Okay, sir. Thanks so much.
Sorry for the interruption. Until we're talking about automation, Daniel said automation is the process of putting things in place, machines or things to minimize human inputs into the source. And we talked about benefits of automation. Now, RPA, as I said in the last class, RPA is maybe not a subdivision. It's a type of automation. And RPA stands for robotic process automation. But most people, when they hear robotic, think of RPA is concerned with building software robots. As you proceed along in the course or in the training, you get to build our own processes, and we get to see how the things work. Okay. Now, talked about what RPA does. And so, who can tell me RPA is? I think I defined RPA for us in the last class. For anyone, if you can answer the question, please raise up your hand. The definition of RPA. Okay, no one. Now, RPA is a technology that enables software programs.
Oh.
Okay, did not.
So
let me give Esther. Esther is the first. So Esther, you answer. Esther.
Can I answer?
Who is that? My name.
Who is George?
Your hand is not up.
Sir?
Your hand is not.
I raised my hands up. You've not called me.
Well, Esther is the first person there, but okay, Pelumi, Nafiu, fill us out. What is RPA? Esther, are you going to join?
Hello.
Okay, Esther, thank you for.
Hello, I'm talking.
What is RPA?
Yeah.
What is RPA? You are muted, so.
All right. So, from what you said yesterday, you said that RPA is a software robot that mimics human actions. It can be used for business processes, and it's an independent platform. From what you said, I think that's what I got from what you said yesterday.
From independent. It doesn't rely on any. It doesn't rely on any specific system to run on. It can run on any system that. And RPA provides some basic benefits to businesses, to companies, industries, individuals, basically, that use RPA. Some benefits now include the ease of implementation. It includes accuracy. It works for longer time, start making errors, unlike human beings who prone to making errors and mistakes. It also can operate on structured data. It is data that is arranged in a predefined format. Okay. Moving on. Sorry? Moving on. We also looked at the predecessors, that is the technologies that that inspired the development of RPA. And we saw that there were three. There are three of them. Number one being screen scraping software, which is software that takes information from graphical user interface, that is screens, monitors, anything that you can see. This is a software that uses sources to scrape and extract information from these things. Then the next session we talked about workflow automation and management tools. These are tools that are used to minimize human intervention in processes, in things that we want to do. So you can imagine a process where we want someone to extract cash amounts from invoice and add them to a balance sheet. Now, tools like this now would make sure that there's no human, or rather the amount of things the human will need to do will be reduced to maybe basically just turning it on, turning it off, and leaving. Okay, then the last thing we talked about was artificial intelligence. Intelligence is the capability of computer systems to perform tasks without human intervention. AI is the short form of artificial intelligence, is training computers to take on human roles. Okay, fine, in some companies, we want humans to make decisions based on certain things. Like we can say, good, we would want the team to purchase this. Now, AI comes in there by allowing computers to make those decisions at any time that's necessary without trying to look for specific human, know-how, knowledge to make those decisions. An example of where AI is applied in fraud detection. Fraud detection is very important aspect in the finance industry. We can see how, or we can imagine how AI would work in making processes and detecting fraud. So we looked at the benefits of RPA. As you can see, there are numerous benefits of.
So I can't hear you.
Hello? Can everyone hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes,
Yes, we
can
can
hear
hear you
Okay.
now. Can
So
hear you
what's
now.
that?
Can hear you now.
You heard from me?
And benefits of
Benefits of
RPA.
Okay, yes. We talked about the benefits of RPA to. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Benefits of RPA to organizations.
Please, sorry, is it
Benefits.
advantage?
Yeah, benefits are advantages. So the benefits include increased execution speed. Now, who can tell us how RPA increases execution speed in business of an organization? Edwin, Chris.
Okay.
Chris. Can you tell us how RPA increases execution speed in an organization?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you, Edwin.
RPA increase execution speed via the fact that things that human would have done with much effort, the RPA can do with minimal effort, and also at a high speed without any error.
Yes, so that is talking about increasing execution speed. But humans get tired. Humans have to rest, humans have to sleep, humans have to they have to eat and do other things too.
Wait.
Then because
First, let me.
because RPA works on computers, all the computer needs is just proper power maybe depending on what you are doing, internet supply. So, and it can run for 24 hours a day. That would allow for greater execution speed. Thank you. Now, Daniel, your hand is still up. So, Daniel, can you tell us how RPA would improve accuracy in organization? Please, Daniel.
Hello, can you hear me? I actually have a question. That's why I raised my hand.
Daniel.
Daniel, yeah.
Okay. So
my question is, now from all of the definitions of RPA that I've seen, it's more on computer. Is it applicable for mobile? For mobile phones, the likes?
So you can build your RPA processes, but now you can only build them with UiPath. You can only build them on PC. UiPath doesn't have studio on mobile. But once you've built your process, it's possible to run some of them via your mobile phone. So yes, you can use RPA on your mobile phone, but not to a large extent. But the technology is still in development. So they've been working on optimizing the process for computers and servers before moving to mobile devices for basically any individual.
Okay. Thank you.
Then can lower your hand now, Daniel. Robert, tell us how RPA improves accuracy.
Okay.
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
Robert, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
From my perspective, RPA improves accuracy in the sense that since it's programmed in a certain to carry out a particular function, and it's a software, it will do that to the extent to which it has been programmed. However, with human interactions and inputs, there are bound to be mistakes or some kind of errors when carrying out certain tasks. So that's how I understand.
I mean, thank you for
insights. I would like to say something on that too, if I'm permitted.
Please state your name.
Okay.
Daniel. Okay, Daniel.
Yes. I think one of the greatest challenge that we have working as humans is many times our emotions they become a challenge for us when we are trying to be accurate and consistent. So for example, someone working in the bank is likely to make mistakes because he had challenges at home or because he was in traffic and he could not get to work on time and he's trying to rush things. So, but for RPA, it's all automated. There is no emotion in place. Nobody is having issues with families at home. Nobody is getting divorced. Nobody is having an accident. So it is consistent and is accurate throughout from the beginning of the program until the program is probably getting rid of.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you. RPA didn't have issues, emotions, things basically issue of things that affect the humans. Jamil Yusuf.
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Now, the next benefit we talk about is the improved compliance and governance. Can you tell us how, in your perspective, RPA can improve compliance and governance?
In my own perspective, yeah. I think RPA, for example, governance. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Especially when we talk about maybe in the aspect of elections, something like that. I think RPA can easily identify data, extract data, and transfer, it transfer data to the, maybe let's say for Nigeria for an example, it transfer data from the polling unit to the INEC office without any human interference. I think that is where RPA can work in governance as well.
That's what you explained is basically in compliance. Yes, it's a form of governance. RPA is RPA is so actually before I go for that, does anyone also want to add something to that? Thank you, Jamie. Lower your hands now. Does anyone want to add something to that? Meet yourself.
I think when it comes to the improved compliance and governance, I think it has to do with maybe the robotic process automation. It has, the solution for the robotic process automation, it has a due process, like logical sequence adopted following regulatory compliances. For example, let's say inside an organization, maybe they have a robotic. I can't see anything. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Maybe in an organization, they have a robotic login. That kind of robotic login is going to follow their rules and regulations inside such organization, in which it will be unique and secure. So all the activity that is being carried out in that organization will be supervised and controlled. So there will be transparency in such organization. So that's my own understanding.
Okay, thank you very much. And that's also a very accurate outlook on the topic of compliance. You said now the software processes are built in with specific rules, specific processes have to be followed. So no, unlike humans who do other things.
Can I also contribute?
Who is that?
This is George. I think I can contribute.
George. George. Thank you. You can also contribute.
Okay, so
yes, waiting for you.
I think the RPA boosts productivity across the board, improve efficiency to generate savings. So,
you're going ahead of us. So you are going ahead of us. That is benefit for. Now we're talking about compliance and governance. You just talked about reducing costs. So thank you. Now, as Pelumi was saying, the processes are built with specific rules, specific processes. He said logical processes have to be followed. And these processes are built aligned with industry guidelines or industry standards. So it ensures that all practices in that organization that are under RPA strictly compliant with standards. Thank you, Pelumi, and thank you everyone who I see your hands up. And Chibuzo, when we talk about the benefit number 4, Chibuzo and Oyela Hontobi. So we can talk about benefit number 4. Chibuzo, you go first, then Toby goes after.
Hello, I'm Rema Chibuzo. Hello, hope you're hearing me.
I can hear you.
I'm Rema Chibuzo. RPA can reduce cost of production, cost of process execution in many ways. Building a robot can take days, but when you're trying to get in new employee to do the same thing you want the robot to do, it's going to take a lot of process and a lot of cost might be lost in it, from looking for the from calling for interview, looking for the right person for the position, and from, doing many other things. And even training that person to do that is going to cost more and take more time. But when a robot is built, or when an RPA bot is built and put into the system, it takes less time, less cost, and it lasts more longer and more effective.
Thank you. Ishibuzo. That's it. And Toby, can you buttress some point or add something that you think you missed for the way RPA reduces costs in the process, in execution process? Okay, I don't think Toby is here with us. Christian Okori. Chizu.
Yes, sir. I'm online, sir. Toby's online, sir.
So, in
Hello, sir.
your own point of view, how does RPA? I mean, you know RPA is, you know how RPA, the benefits.
Yes.
The benefits. Now, tell us how, in your own point of view, it reduces cost of execution.
Okay, I can even use an example, a scenario that occurred to me when I was still in school, when I was looking for one of my results, and my level advisor couldn't get the backup, giving me excuses that the backup has been deleted. But that one cannot be so in RPA. It doesn't work under pressure. There's no time constraints, and then it can perform some high value tasks that are even sensitive. So thereby the process or the tasks given can be done without any hindrances. I think that's my own contribution, sir.
Okay, so thank you, Toby. That was more of compliance, and thank you. Your contribution is correct and appreciated. Now, for the reduced cost in process, as Chibuzo,
Can I add to it?
who your name, please? Christian.
Can I contribute?
Oh, Christian, yeah. No, actually, Christian and Christian.
Can I contribute?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, yes, Christian.
Thank you.
When it comes to the cost of the reduction of cost of process execution, RPA is important because the cost of execution is reduced because when compared to when humans are involved, though when the machines are being built, there's the costs of production, but in the long run, there's reduced cost in the execution because a lot has been achieved, a lot of tasks has been achieved in a short time.
Okay, yes, thank you. Thank you, Chris. You can lower your hands down now. Yes, so RPA reduces cost of execution by, as said, it reduces the amount of time taken. It reduces the need for, looking for multiple people to do the same thing. This is that because one robot can basically do multiple tasks without being encumbered by any physical constraints. And then the next thing is scaling. RPA makes scaling easier. George Ojigbe, can you explain that to us? Zion and George. I can't hear
Hello,
you, George.
sir.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I was trying to unmute my system. My name is George Ojegbe, so thank you. So for the scalability, RPA can easily uh, be be scalable in that there are some maybe you build a robot to handle some certain processes, and if you want to expand it more, like as long as it has a lay down procedures and steps, you can easily develop that and as in add it to the current as in robot, so it can easily be expanded from what it's doing to more, maybe more complex or even more tasks. So in process of I think it can be scalable. So I think that is just all, and the process is very easy. You can follow the same process in achieving that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
very much. That is, thank you, George. Zion, I want to hear your own view on this concepts. How RPA improves, makes scaling easier. Zion, Obo.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, I think we can hear you. I mean, I can hear you.
Okay, my name is Zion Ogbo, and I think RPA can make scaling easier in the sense that, let's say, for example, if a particular company has to execute specific tasks, if the maximum power needed for a particular organization to execute task is 4 people, and if RPA can be applied to it, which makes it a lot more faster without human effort, they'll be able to execute more tasks as if it were 20 people. So I feel with RPA, there's basically no
let me ask you
shortage of
something.
human hands. Okay.
Let me ask you something now. So you said, okay, let's say there's a task that needs 4 people that RPA can really execute it.
Okay.
By 20. So do you think RPA is going to, or make RPA suitable to making such claims and performing tasks of 20 people?
Okay. Okay. With my knowledge about RPA so far, I think RPA can simultaneously RPA can be built in a way to simultaneously execute multiple tasks as if it were one person doing 10 things at the same time. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, I can. So that is correct. Can you hear me, Zion, too?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah. RPA can allow for not multitask, but parallel processing.
Sir, it's George Ojegbe.
Hey, George.
Yeah, so adding to that, there are some processes can change. Like an RPA, you can have an RPA doing a particular task for you, and maybe tomorrow the organization decides to place it. Please, can everybody hear me?
Where about that? Yes. I can hear you.
Sir?
I can hear
Okay,
you. I
so
can hear you.
maybe the process is being changed or altered, like there is the way doing that process before has been changed. So with RPA, you can easily make those modifications on the RPA to do the same task. So those are the part of the scalability, the easy scalability that you can achieve with RPA. It can easily be modified to suit whatever you are doing, even though you are doing it in a particular way. Tomorrow, if there's any changes, those changes can be done on the RPA, and you don't need to destroy it, that you can still continue doing the same thing. Just make that changes.
Yes, that's true.
Very important thing. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Now, as it's
Can I
processes that, who is that, sir?
Balumi.
Balumi Nofi, okay. Hear what you want to say.
Okay, concerning the easier scaling, I think from my own perspective, I think let's use this scenario as an example. Like, as we are all on this learning management software, let's say we plan that the person that is going to be taking us, as you are taking us, is going to take 100 students. So peradventure, we eventually have up to 150 students. So there is a need for us to employ more people. In the case of RPA, in this case of easier scaling, if we are going to use RPA, it will be very easy for us to just increase the number of robots, as it being it is a robot that is taking us. But in the case of UMA, we have to go and start looking for people to submit their CV and employ them. So I think easier scaling, that's what easier scaling has to do with.
You have to look for training the people to begin. So I mean that will take more.
Yes.
Very good scenario of how RPA makes scaling of in easier. So someone in the chat said they don't understand the scaling thing. So basically now Jasper scaling involves making a single process, increasing the increasing the range, increasing the number of ways, number of points of application of a process or a system. Imagine as Pelumi said, we want a person to teach a class. That's of 100 people. And that is fine. That is I call it the first stage or the first point of application. Now imagine the scenario when you now have 10,000 students. Remember, we only have one, but it's can only take 100 students. What that means is that we will have to hire maybe 100 people more to teach those remaining 9,000 and whatever people. Now that for a business is not really a good thing because it causes them to apply resources. I mean, you have to look for people to come for interview. They have to train those people again. Now with RPA, because RPA is software, the software robot that's going to perform the task. Now, the only thing you need to do in RPA to make that same process, say it is a robot that's taking the class. The only thing you have to do is just provision for 99 more robots. And because they are all on the same platform, they are all following the same, you can all follow the same program, it is much easier to just share or allocate the same resource, or allocate the same processing guidelines to each robot. When you can do that, you just a click of a button. And you can see how that makes matters, or how that makes the teaching of the 10,000 students much easier and much quicker than how it would have been initially if it was just left to looking for 99 more humans to train and do other things. So Jasper, hope that has cleared up anything you don't understand, and that has helped you to understand the concept. Thank you, Toby, for also explaining in your own point of view to Jasper. Look at what Toby said. That's also moving on to the last benefits of RPA, that is rapid ROI. And I think I'll call on Cinda Clinton and Chizu. Cinda Clinton and Chizu.
Okay,
And
good evening.
let's talk about. Good evening.
Can you hear me? Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So first of all, we want to understand what ROI means here. We're talking about return on investment. Now, let me use the scenario. Say a startup decides to invest 500,000 in automating their processes using RPA. Now, what is their return on investment here? They get to hire less staff than they would normally need, which will translate to saving themselves expenses in terms of a salary. It will also translate to saving themselves expenses in terms of office space. And then since everything is automated, they spend less time carrying out processes. And when they spend less time carrying out processes, they become, they have time to actually do more processes, and that translates to the organization being more productive. And when they are more productive, it adds to the revenue that is being generated into the startup. Now, remember to, because all the processes are automated, there is improved accuracy. And when there's improved accuracy, clients are more happier because they don't need to go back and forth as to, delays that this would cost them. So they become more happier, and then the business continues to thrive. So that is my own thoughts when it comes to rapid ROI.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And Chizo, also, let's hear your own thoughts on how RPA improves or makes rapid ROI.
Okay, just as Mr. Clinton has rightly said, all the five benefits which you've discussed, clearly we see that if properly implemented, could really bring about a return on investment to the company. And one very fascinating thing is that in spite of all of these processes, when they are being put in place or accomplished, for example, the improved accuracy, optimization of time and resources, it really does not compromise the quality of work done. Even if we have just one robot handling the activity which 6 person or 10 person has to handle, it really does not compromise the quality of the work, and still, yeah, the company still saves money using these RPA solution.
Very much. Thank you for. Now, so I think we've all understood how RPA brings benefits to organizations. Anyone applying it to the process, and look at it, feature speed, see scaling. So now we want to look at RPA versus automation. Remember, we defined automation before as any process that allows us to reduce human intervention in process. And we define RPA as where robots mimic human interaction. Now we have some differences. Remember, I said RPA is a subdivision of automation, but they are not exactly the same. So let's look at the differences between RPA and automation. We see that RPA has a wider range of application because it's used to automate any business process, any functionality, ranging from collecting data, sending messages, or performing simple tasks. We can do it all. How automation set to work on a specific. Then you see the RPA is platform independent. The RPA does not depend on one specific platform or specific, let's say, instance of the implementation. RPA can work anywhere you have necessary resources, necessary tools, which in this case would be a computer. RPA can work there, while automation platform dependent. Automation can only work in a specific instance that it's set up to do. Can't modify an automation process to do something that it's not meant to do. Only do what it set it up to do. Then RPA mimics user actions and can cognitively take decisions to perform actions. We saw that RPA had a predecessor of intelligence. And by definition, AI is the capability of machine to perform, to make human decisions. Now, RPA, based on that, can perform actions normally you would need a human to do once that's been well interwoven with. Once you have trained your AI very well, and while automation does not mimic human actions and can only execute specific automation and only follow one path, can make decisions based on what it is, based on things as things come up. Only follow the rules. Once you say it should go from point A to point B, even if there's a blockage, still try to go, even if there's an error, you still try to go from that point A, have the capability of trying to figure out an important, not important, a different route, achieving that. Okay. The next thing we talked about the AI capabilities. Okay, we looked at RPA. Now, if you remember, we talked about the criteria for which a process is RPA applicable. So can someone tell me the criteria for which a process can become RPA applicable? Thomas Pepime, can you tell us the criteria for which a process can be RPA applicable? Can you meet yourself?
Okay.
Sorry. Yes, I can hear you. Can you, before you start, can you please pronounce your name? Sorry? Thomas. Thank you. So can you tell us the criteria for which a process can be RPA?
The criteria, one criteria is that
I can't hear you. There seems to be some noise in your background. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Can I answer?
I don't get the question, please, sir.
So as in the last class, we talked about the criteria for which a process is RPA applicable. That is the criteria you need process to follow before you can apply RPA to that process to make it get those benefits we talked about. So what are the criteria? Yes, sir.
All right. So there are some specific criteria or attributes that certain processes can be automated. So because it's not all processes that can be automated, and so one of the processes that can be automated by RPA is that the process must be rule-based, rule-based and consistent, because it's those rules that the robots are going to they're going to abide by those rules. The accuracy we've been talking about and the reduction of costs and increase in productivity we are talking about is because basically because the robots they carry out it's basically because the robots carry out these processes based on the rules. So we can as well say that the accuracy of our automation is as good as the rules that we have set to them. So the accuracy of a particular automation is as good as what the developer has built. So the robots are accurate. They don't commit errors. But then, if a particular automation has errors, it's not due to the robots because of the rules that have been set. Probably there's a problem. So that is number one attribute: rules-based and consistency. Secondly, is that
Okay, thank you.
okay?
Let's save some for other people. So thank you for that
Yeah.
very detailed explanation on how the process needs to be rule-based, appropriate to apply to it. And Emmanuel, I can't see your last name here, so I'm just going to call you Emmanuel. Emmanuel F.
Okay.
Tell us another criteria. Emmanuel F, not Emmanuel.
All right.
No, not
Hi.
Emmanuel. Well,
Okay.
Emmanuel.
Okay.
Emmanuel
So
F.
my name is.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Emmanuel Fadi. Okay,
Fadi.
so one of the criteria that is necessary to be in place for RPA to be used is being voluminous. So it means that the process where RPA will be applicable should be a large process whereby it requires a lot of labor to execute. So the RPA comes in to cut the cost of labor.
Yes, it's being voluminous. It's being voluminous.
Can I answer also, sir?
Manuel, maybe
All right. So good day, everyone. My name is Adebi Manuel. So one of the criteria for using RPA is you have to use RPA where you have a repetitive kind of scheme of work. Yeah, I believe RPA should fly very well.
Thank you.
Can I contribute, sir?
Your name, please.
Sir? Good evening, sir. My name
Good evening,
is
sir. Can I contribute, sir?
Maya, and I stand up.
Good evening, sir. My name is Jeremiah Layo. I would like to see the criteria that are necessary. First, I will see the learning process. Is it easy for others to learn? And the second, I will see the speed, the accuracy, and the third, I will say the cost of ownership, because people prefer it. Check the cost if it is affordable for others. And third, I will see the architecture, the way it is built. Is it easy to is it easy to is it access is it can it and the fourth thing I would say is the technology behind it. Can it solve some problem and give better tax?
Thank you. That's not the
good evening,
exactly
sir.
wrong,
Can I
but,
say something, sir?
I want David Imai to something else.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
For RPA to be applicable, one of the process that is required is using structured data. For example, when
So actually, before we start, before you explain what is structured data, or when is data structured? What does that term mean? Can you break it down?
Okay, the structured data is, let's say, a format of information. Yes, let's say on a page or content written on a page. Let's see, for example, a list of names, emails, then probably their work, their positions, what they do. So let's say, for instance, this structured data, one has to copy and paste, several data into a particular table or transfer it to another platform. And we're not talking about 5 lists, but we're talking about a number of 50, 100, almost 150, just like people always registering every day. So all of these data have to be captured and transferred maybe to a database. Now, this is where RPA comes in. It's applicable there, setting up a bot to always copy and screenshot this data into a database consistently without working 24/7.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for that definition of structure. In any data that follows a specific format, it's kind of intertwined with another, which is it being rule-based. Because RPA is rule-based, it can only follow what you've laid down for it. Now you're introducing data that is not in that structure, allow it to run into problems. You can see how those two criteria are intertwined. There's one more criteria that no one has mentioned. So I want to call on Tobiloba. It's Justin.
Yeah. Evening.
Evening. Toby, sorry. I want.
Evening.
Hello, I am Sakuru. I'm not sure with the audio.
Can
I
you
am
hear me,
sir.
sir?
Yeah, Toby, hold on. Tobiloba, hold on. Speak. And
Okay. One of the criteria for applying RPA technology would be if there is a labor intensity, sort of if the amount of work to be done or the labor force is high, then that should be a criteria for applying RPA technology for work. Thank you, sir.
like the labor intensive. Has to be labor intensive because that is only when you would be able to see those benefits in a business. Thank you, everyone. So, Toby, you can, if you still feel like you want to explain what that's correct.
Good evening, sir. Can I say something?
And I want to be Loba.
Good evening, sir. I am sir.
I can hear.
One of the criteria for applying RPA is when if let's take a business for instance now. Assuming they want to scale their production, assuming it's not going to be efficient for them to use normal workers for the scaling because of the amount they're going to make. It should be advisable for them to use RPA because it's going to reduce the cost and the amount they spend on production. Thanks, sir.
Okay, so what you explained is basically a benefit. There's no wrong answers and no bad answers. So thank you for that input.
Thank you.
So moving on, talk about RPA, the voluminous, labor intensive, rule-based and repetitive. You need to use structured data. Okay. So what's the last answer? No.
I think the how data driven, like it says that if we are the input that is needed for the automations are digital input. Probably a form was submitted in a PDF format and need to extract some documents or some information
So,
from the
sorry,
form.
hold on, please. Again, I did not hear what you were saying at the beginning.
Okay, so I said like it should be digital input driven.
Yes. And that is not necessarily I mean, you can create processes that don't need require inputs. I mean, it's a criteria, but it's not a necessity.
Okay.
So you can apply RPA. That also applies. Thank you for that. It's possible to have some processes that don't require inputs. Like now, the process of maybe moving a file from one place to another. I mean, you're not inputting anything, just performing action. That you can still perform the action with RPA because imagine you have, large amount of repetitive. You can see how that's, and you don't have RPA input. So thank you again, Hafiz. Nice being on it. Yeah. So continuing with what we are. We looked at how to blend AI and RPA, the platforms or the tools which UiPath blend AI into RPA. There are three things provided. One was document understanding.
Can I contribute?
And let's see what you want to say. Document understanding is of allowing robots to analyze and process documents. The AI is going to be teaching the robots to read and understand PDFs, handwritings.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Hello, sir. Can I contribute, sir?
Okay, let's say what you want to say.
Okay, thank you, sir. For the criteria for the process of RPA, robotic process automation, I was going to the student handbook, and apart from that, not limited to that processes that was listed, I read that the documents must be in electronic form for the process to be executed, and for us to be able to do that, it must be in the form of like Excel or Word, or if possible, if OCR can be used to scan the document to convert it to Excel, then it should be very, very easy to go about the process in implementing the RPA.
Thank you for that. Yes, that's also applied to our processes, to RPA processes. I think
okay, thank you.
It's not that is a necessity because it's possible to have RPA processes don't use inputs. I think someone said it about digital inputs. It's possible to have processes don't require inputs. And I give a scenario of process that involves moving something from one place to the other, moving a file from one folder to another folder. You can see there's nothing's being inputted into the robots. The robot is only performing action, not working on any data, no input. So I mean, what you said is correct. It's not part of the core criteria process.
Okay,
the RPA applicable.
All right, sir. Because I am trying to broaden my understanding just to get it right and be able to be the embodiment of the knowledge for best practices.
Yeah. Good. Good then. So, okay then. Moving on
Thank you, sir.
welcome. Talked about document understanding and AI computer vision. Computer vision is the process, or it allows robots to interact with screens. This is the graphical user interface, so you can see. And such screens includes the VDI, virtual desktop. By VDI, they mean virtual machines. Nowadays it's possible to run two computers on physical machine. So this AI computer vision allows robots to distinguish between different virtual instances of computer and allows them to work with dynamic interfaces. How's automation of business process using those virtual computers. And then the last two UiPath providers work with AI and to combine AI and RPA, the chatbots. A chatbot is what I've probably come across, a robot that responds to human inputs, and provides answers or responses to whatever has been inputted by the human. So this UiPath chatbots allows robots to process and automate text, chat, and voice inputs and work on those inputs to produce the necessary actions or outputs. Okay. And now we looked at RPA and the emerging ecosystem. Looked at the several technologies that are emerging in RPA ecosystem. These processes include process mining, analysis of business based on event logs. It's based on things that happened and have been recorded businesses. So we can train robots based on those things and allow them to perform actions based on future occurrences of whatever they've been trained on. Another technology that's also emerging is the intelligent OC. I think someone mentioned before. That was what they mentioned something about OCR. OCR is optical character recognition. OCR is basically anything that allows to extract data documents based on what can be seen. Okay, this now allows RPA now to work with more difficult systems where data is structured. Another thing that is reporting software. This is just to give feedback to management of users about how the robots are performing. Users can now adjust maybe the input to access process based on. And then we have workflow management tools. Now, industry suited to. We know that RPA can be applied to almost every in some specific formats as we follow those criteria listed. But then these are some examples of RPA industries that are best applied to. So I would like to call on Robert to tell us how RPA can apply to banking and finance?
Oh, thank you very much. We all are aware of the huge data characteristics of the banking and finance sector, and we also know that it's a very highly regulated sector. We also know that it's very labor intensive. Take a bank like GTB now. GTP has over 200 staffs. This is just me being very kind. 200 staffs and over 1 million customers. And these are these features fit the characteristics of when RPA can be employed in the processes of the sector. So yeah, so in the banking and finance sector, RPA will be well suited to help them minimize the cost of operating, to help increase accuracy and the other benefits that follow with RPA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rob. So I guess we can see, we can see these 6 industries where RPA is. But I would like someone to actually, suggest something different from any of these 6. They think RPA can be applied, and maybe they can give us some insight into how they think RPA is going to be applied in those sectors, what benefits, how the benefits will be realized in those sectors. If you want to question, we can read now.
Sorry, I can't see anybody.
Who is that? Can everyone hear me? Please.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Then I think everybody needs to check their internet. Okay, Kalumi Nafi, would you like to suggest one industry? Apart from the 6 on the screen now, in difference where RPA can be applied. Tell us how. Okay, I think let me cross my block forward. Anna, can you make a suggestion for us?
Okay. Did you say, good evening, everyone? Did you say any of the 6, or are you talking on banking and finance?
No, I would like you to say something apart from the 6. You think
apart from the what?
Apart from the 6 on the screen now, I would like you to suggest an industry where you think RPA can be applied, and tell us how RPA is going to be applied in that industry. No, now mute yourself and
okay, sorry. I'm saying, okay, so apart from these 6, and what I can think about, maybe somewhere like might be wrong though, maybe in a higher institution where you have maybe say lots of students, and then you maybe need to let me see, maybe results, or maybe you need to send a large number of emails to maybe all the 200 students, like maybe in a department, and sending them one by one can be tedious, and then RPA can come in to help automate that process to be faster and to reduce mistakes.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Thank you. It's a very, it's not wrong as you thought it might be. It's actually very correct. We listed the criteria for RP as it's being repetitive, rule-based, and using structured data. Now, we talked about the instance of a school or a department trying to send out emails, maybe students or parents. Now, because they're trying to do the same thing, trying to follow the same process for everyone, yes, we can apply RPA here, apply RPA to automate that process. instead of having one person do. You can also, you can apply RPA to process of, I know in schools now there's a process of transcripts. So in some schools now, or most schools, to collect a transcript, I think you have to go meet someone, like talk to the person, pay some amount of money, and do that, do everything. Now, I think schools can create processes that, a user or any individual can just input their details. Then the robot will, move to the database, get what is needed based on the person's inputs, and return the necessary things. So, yes, the school sector is correct. Let me pick one more person to give us another industry. Then, okay, Joseph O.
You mentioned my name, sir.
My name. Pelumi. Hey, Pelumi, I've called you before, so I wanted to call someone I've not called before. So let's get everyone's thoughts on different issues. So thank you, Pelumi. Say that you responded.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah. Basically, RPA can be applied in all the listed industries. And because in the banking and the finance, there are repeated workflow that is.
Joseph, sorry, I don't think you heard. So I would like you to suggest something different from the 6 on the screen. Nona suggested in the education industry something different. Just 7. Now.
Okay. Basically, when it comes to in a cooperative or in the accounting department, right? When you are working on the invoicing system, RPA can be used to reduce the repetitive work the accounting clerks are doing, whereby it will be extracting the vendor's name, the vendor's amount, and all that is required to automate the payment of the vendor. Right? I don't know if
yes, it can work. You are correct. I don't really explain it well. Hello? It is from what I heard. Okay, and I told everyone yesterday 15 minutes break from 8:45. Looks like we have past 4 minutes into the. So I guess our break can start now. It's 8:50. The next 15 minutes. So you guys can use that time to do whatever you need to do, and then I guess we'll continue from.
Sorry, sir.
Yes?
Sorry, sir. Can I quickly say something, sir? Mine have been raised for quite some time now, but I don't know why you didn't mention my name, and I've never talked throughout the day. Anyways,
I'm sorry about.
I have a point about the question you raised for other industries that are not included on this one that is listed here. I think in the government too, if RPA is utilized for the database of the amount of people that are in a particular country, it's going to be very, very easy to utilize the robots like RPA to actualize something like that, sir. That's just my point, sir.
So possible. RPA can be applicable, can be applied in virtually almost all industries. The government is no exception. Once you can create a certain a certain set of rules you want the robot to follow, you can apply RPA there. Thank you, Kendi. As I said earlier, our break now, and then you continue from 5 minutes past 9. I'll see you guys by then. And while we are waiting, if anyone still has issues with Studio, I mean, I'll still be here, so you can ask, tell me the issues you have with installing Studio or anything regarding your onboarding. Okay.
Sorry, we were supposed to get a link, like a Telegram link for our set. Is that still going to come?
Yes, I have spoken to the enrollment director, and he promised to send out the link latest this night or tomorrow morning. You will still be getting that. You get a link to Telegram channel and a Discord server.
All right, thank you.
So where will they send the link to? Is it to our email?
To your email. So I guess you registered on your website and you inputted your email at one point in time. You've collated all the emails. You'll be sending out links.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
So I think the break should be ending by now. Am I right?
Yeah, yes, sir. The break should be ending now.
Okay, yes, thank you for. I think it is 3 minutes left. If everyone is here, just proceed.
Is how many minutes?
15 minutes. 15 minutes. So I said the break
15 more
started
minutes.
No, 2 more minutes basically. Break officially ends by 9:05.
Okay, now.
But then if we are all here, I guess we can continue. Everyone is ready. If anyone is not ready, I mean, say something, but let's move on.
Please, can you confirm if my mic is working?
Hello? What's that? Last thing is distributor something as the correct driven volume of data in nature and driven by the we've talked about last thing now before we move to a new topic. Examples of data specification. And some examples that I see my screen. Customer onboarding, vendor onboarding, serial master management, updating and changing, creating new entries in the database in the company, data creation, invoice process, and quick. Guess we can all imagine how we can apply RPA to these processes. Okay, so that's the last thing when we did. So like to move forward to a new topic. You'll be talking about UiPath, all the things UiPath provides to make your journey from where you are now is, lack of a better term, novices. to the position of you being a fully fledged free developer. Okay, keep following. Someone talk.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Your audio is not clear, and I'm struggling to kind of hear what you're saying.
Okay. I said we're moving to a new topic. Talked about a movie. Talked on processes, RPA, and said imagine how RPA instead come customer in and on board. Yeah. So that's the last thing talked about. Into a new, that is to introduce you to the UiPath. You know, your UiPath starts from the sources UiPath, copying amateur point of being a fully fledged. Okay.
Your line is breaking, sir. Please, sir.
The breaking is very serious. I can't even hear one bit of what you say.
Oh. Hello? Voice. Can everyone hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
you
can
can
hear
hear
you. We
And
can
is
hear
it
you now,
breaking
sir.
still? It's not breaking, right?
I don't get it. Push it through.
Okay. So I said you'll be looking at the UiPath platform. Every tool and resource UiPath will be providing for us to move from the point where we are to becoming fully fledged RPA developers. Okay, now we'll be looking at the products UiPaths. So let me actually start from this. So we've talked about printing process, but there is a process by which a task or a procedure. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
So there's a process there's a process by which a procedure task get automated, and process is broken down into five, let's say five, four basic 6 basic steps. Six.
Sorry, you're still
Maybe
breaking
step.
up.
Hello? Am I still breaking my voice to you?
Yes, you are.
Same for everyone.
I think
yes.
virtually
Yes,
everybody.
sir. Yes, sir. Same here.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to something. My voice still breaking now.
No, it's not.
It appears to be better now. So let's just listen and decide.
So please make sure to tell me when the breakage no. Okay, so I said there are 6 basics, 6 steps for a procedure or can be automated with RPA. Now, the first step is the discovery stage. And okay, actually, if I get to this, UiPath provides products that help. That help stores that would help us in those stages and allow us to perform the task we needed before we can automate the process. Now, for the processes, the processes or the steps include step 1 being discover, that is the discovery stage, and there's the building stage, it's managing. There is running, engaging, and then measuring and governing. Now, for the okay, now as I said, there are six stages: design, build, manage, run, and engage. Now, in the discover stage, now, at this point, this is the stage where we pick what kind of process be suitable for RPA. This is the stage where, talked about the criteria for RPA, attributes about. It's at this stage that we as developers, maybe as a company, a company goes and looks at what process they think will be needed or can be RPA deployed. And some tools UiPath provides, you can see on my screen, include the automation hub, task capture, process mining, and task. I think we saw process mining before. Process mining is analyzing documents. So it's under blending AI and RP. Said it was analyzing documents to based on event logs, something like that. So now the automation hub, it's okay. Who can tell me what when I say hub? Who can tell me what comes to their mind? Hand of Judge.
Like a space.
Sam.
GitHub. Stop.
GitHub. No, but yeah, again, I know instead of you know all of us, most of us have heard of it. A hub now. What's hub? Robots. George. Okay, George is number one. So
Oh,
Robert then. Robert. What's
Okay.
hub?
When you
What do
hear
you
the
think a hub
word
is?
hub, when you hear the word hub, you think about a meeting ground for a for a meeting ground for for something. You know, like for instance, you can have a working hub, a food hub. So you know, a hub is a space for
Hub
a particular purpose.
is hub is meeting ground or gathering or a community, but meeting ground for specific reasons. Now, automation hub it's a hub of ideas and solutions in an organization now. It's also deploy our automation hub. It provides the platform for employees, developers, and everyone in the organization to suggest yes, when you can go. Let's say we are all in an organization, like academy. So robots can suggest that we automate process of maybe process of enrolling people, process of teaching people. Now, when it is in this hub that robot would come and submit his idea for the higher ups in make decisions. Apart from higher ups, because RPA is also blended with AI, it can also, in the automation hub, allow AI to make decisions, to pick what yes be automated. Okay. Now the next thing on that discovery stage, the task task capture simply looks at how audio is breaking.
Sorry, sir, you are breaking up and we're missing out on the information you're giving.
Hello? You're hearing me?
Sorry, sir, it's still breaking. Can't hear you clearly. I'm
Still
even
breaking.
using captions to get you.
Hello?
Hello, sir. You still
Hello,
there?
sir.
You said okay, you want me to continue, please? Hello? Can you all hear me? Is my voice still breaking? Yes,
can hear you
I'm
now.
so sorry about
hear you.
network. Sorry, I'm using three different internet providers. So is it better now, please?
I think
Yes,
it's
it
better now,
is.
sir.
I'll take your silence to mean yes.
It's better now. We can hear you.
Hello? I'm not hearing anyone speaking. Okay, in the chat, you can see Precious, Jasper, it's better.
So it's better now.
I'll continue. Okay, thank you very much. So the last thing is we talked about the automation hub, about how the automation hub is a platform where members in the organization, that's from the employees to developers to higher ups even, come to submit ideas, and where the people in charge, be it AI or humans, pick the ideas which are suitable for automation. The next tool in the discovery stage is the task capture. Now, task capture is simply a platform or a tool in this case rather, documents the steps needed to perform that procedure. Or let's say in the case you want to these processes are then exported as PDDs or XAML files, XAML files, which is sent away to our business analysts and developers so they can start building the automations right away. So I said the task capture is just looking at what's it called, looking at the steps to perform a process and then documenting it. Now the next thing again is also process mining. Process mining is just looking for flaws, looking for issues or inefficiencies in the process. Okay, and then you do that now with this platform. With this platform, you can also continually optimize the end processes. That is, even at a stage when, let's say, we built our robots, you can still use this process mining to try and look for new things that are what's it called, are not working right with the system, or new things that can cause issues. So the last thing in the discovery stage is the task mining. Now, task mining is mainly performed with AI. It is basically looking at the work people in the organization do. Looking at the most popular things. Let's say we have an organization we have a company that deals mainly with customer services. We would know that what they perform most is receiving phone calls and storing data. So this task mining tool would analyze all the things done in the company and look for the processes that are best suited for automation. And then it aggregates the workflows and applies AI to map the automation process, that is the automation task. Okay, are you all following?
Yeah, we are with you, sir.
Okay,
Yes, we are.
thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Now,
We are with you, sir.
So the next step now is the building or the build stage. That is the stage where we as developers now, because as I said, this course is training us to become fully fledged RP developers. So this is the stage we'll be most concerned with in terms of this training. This is the stage where developers work on the data provided in the discovery stage. That is the process which we have decided that the higher ups have picked from the automation hub, and the tasks or the steps captured in the task capture tool. It is in this stage that we as developers work on them to build the robot that would then automate and perform those tasks for us. And UiPath provides provides 3 tools for that. There is Studio, Studio X, and Studio Pro. Now these 3 only provides 5, which is document understanding and marketplace. Now, Studio X, Studio, and Studio Pro are all platforms. I mean, I guess we've all heard or we all know about the Studio because we've all installed it. So Studio is where we build our workflows, is where we implement the logical processes to perform the tasks. Now, there is also a version of Studio called Studio X. This is for people who do not have coding experience or who only want to perform basic tasks. Now, Studio Pro can perform more complex tasks. Studio Pro and Studio rather perform more complex tasks, but this is in combination with some expertise, let's not say expertise, but some basic knowledge in programming. Because I mean, if you did not know, I would like to tell us now that UiPath Studio is based on or is working with Visual Basic and C#. Is there any proof that any programmer among us? Any programmer among us?
Yes.
Yes.
I guess have you heard of Visual Basic? Yeah. Visual
Basic
and
C# also.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes. So UiPath Studio is built on those 2 languages. So in the course of learning of this training, we will get, let's say, inculcated, or we get some knowledge on the basics of Visual Basic and C#, so you can work and fully implement the capabilities that are available to you in the UiPath Studio. Sorry, Peter. Okay, we don't use C++, just C# and Visual Basic. So Studio Pro also has the same things as Studio, the same functionality as Studio, but then it has added features for allowing of scalability or creating specialized test cases. That is to create tests based on specific instances or specific scenarios which could happen in a business, and allows for sharing the created workflows across various platforms that they would rely on. Now, document understanding is tool to help robots understand and interpret data from documents of different forms, PDF images, and scanned documents. And then the UiPath Marketplace is I like call it an online store, or as the name implies, a marketplace where that contains, pre-built automation components. There's this, what I call it a mantra, or there's this thing developers work with. It's better to reuse a component and creating it again. Now, it's in this UiPath marketplace where we can access components that have been created and have already gone through verification processes. Because it is in this stage or in this marketplace that we can get access to those ones. Some might be free, some might be, some might have to be bought. But the bottom line is that marketplace is going to make automation easier, because then you focus on tasks that are unique to your company or to your task or to your project at hand. You can just get the generic components from the UiPath marketplace. Now, the next stage in the RPA automation process is the management stage. Now, in management, there are a number of tools, the main one being the UiPath orchestrator. Now, I remember someone asking me when he installed the studio about a link going to cloud. Now, it is in that cloud that the UiPath orchestrator is located, and other management tools. Now, the orchestrator is in charge of, deploying, triggering, monitoring, tracking, and allocating robots to every task or every process they will need to work on. The orchestrator allows you to do all these things from a single point, instead of going to individual parts or individual machines that have robots on them to maybe monitor what they are doing or to deploy them. You can do that all from the comfort of our browser or mobile device in this case. Now, there is the AI fabric. The AI fabric is going to aid us with orchestrating all the moving pieces of AI. Remember, we can implement RPA, or we can blend RPA and AI together. Now, it's this AI fabric that is going to allow for, that's going to oversee the implementation of AI into our RPA processes. And as you can see, there's no need for data science. So it is friendly. It is very user-friendly. That's user-friendly, but it's very open to anyone that is willing to just learn how the program or how the tool works. Then we also have the test suite. And the test suite is, as from the name, a test suite. When you run programs, you always want to test them to ensure that they don't break or they don't crash on deployment. You want to test everything that might go wrong, and also find more things that could go wrong in the process of applying, or in the process of deploying these automations. Right now, it is in this UiPath test suite that we are going to be able to set up tests, or set up benchmarks basically that we want our automation to pass before they can be allowed to go live and into production. Okay, then you have the UiPath data service. The UiPath data service is basically concerned with distributing data between various parts of a company and avoiding data silo. A data silo is basically a situation where all forms of data are stored in a singular place, and that is not something that we want to be something you want to be in, something you want happening in businesses. We want data to be free flowing between various arms of an organization, and it is with this UiPath data service that we can create schemas or schemas that allow for easy and simple access to data that is possessed by the company. Okay. Now, the last tool in that section is Insight, UiPath Insight. Now, this is simply an analytics tool that tracks and measures and also forecasts the performance of your entire operation program. And allows you so that you can propel your operation journey to the next level. I think that is self-explanatory. Tracks, measures, and forecasts and predicts the performance of your entire automation. Now, after building, discovering, building, and managing the product or the process, you would like to run it, because that is the whole point of creating a process, so that it will be run on the point where it is needed. And the things that run where it is needed are processes are called robots. So there are two types of robots. Actually, there are two basic types of robots. That's the attended robots and unattended robots. An attended robot is basically a robot that requires human supervision. This requires a human to watch over it, to be there, to maybe perform inputs occasionally. While an unattended robot is one that doesn't require any human supervision. That is one that can work on its own without need for any external human input occasionally or at any point. UiPath provides these two basic types of robots for us. You can access them through our UiPath assistant, which is one of the things that you would have seen when you downloaded your UiPath Studio. We also have test robots, and these test robots are mainly working in hand with the test suite. These test robots are going to work based on the benchmarks we have set in the test suite. And they're going to test the automation at every point to make sure it doesn't break and it doesn't crash before being deployed. Okay. Now the fifth part of the automation process is engagement. Now engagements, as the word implies, is when users interact with something. Now, in this case, because we are working in robots, to be users interacting with the robots to allow them to perform tasks where needed or apply inputs when needed. That is from the point of the user and also the developer. There is UiPath apps, you know, the things like that. UiPath app. So I think we all have mobile phones. So the way we have an app store on Apple or Google Play Store, that's the same way we have the UiPath apps. This is a place where, let's say, when developers have built their automation, they can put the automations there for users to download and use. And actually, because it has to be, when we go further, we see what I'm talking about. But when we build processes, it is basically the backbone of the robots we are building. Now, in UiPath apps will allow us to create a front end or a graphical user interface that is something for users to see, and for people that are not technologically savvy to know, to enable them to be able to use the processes. So in UiPath apps, we can create front ends for our robots, and it doesn't require coding, so there's no need for knowledge of, other languages like JavaScript. I think JavaScript is a popular front-end development language. So JavaScript and HTML. It's just the same way. It works the same way as UiPath Studio actually. Just drag and drop what we need. Okay. Then there's UiPath Assistant. I talked about it before. This is where we access our robots. So on our machines or computers, we use UiPath Assistant to launch attended robots, to perform or launch automations that contain attended robots, and allow them to perform their day-to-day tasks. Now, this UiPath Assistant also manages and distributes the automation centrally. That is, it gathers all the robots related to that specific machine in a singular point for ease of management and for ease of distribution. Then there is the UiPath Action Center. This is used when there are automations that require human decisions, like take, for example, approvals, escalations, and exceptions. It's in this UiPath Center that humans can Hello, can you hear me? George,
Yes.
you have a question?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you all for responding. Yes. George, your hand is up.
Yeah.
Okay, question.
Yes, I want to know if you were sharing your screen because I can't see anything moving on your screen. So I just want to know if you are sharing your screen.
Yes, I'm sharing my screen. Can anyone see my screen? Can anyone else see my screen?
I can see your screen.
I can see your screen.
That's very good. So yes, I'm sharing my screen. Like doing the things. So then it doesn't matter if you can't see it. This PDF is on the LMS for you to access. So you can always go back and read through and try to link what I have been saying in class to what is in the PDF. Okay. Yes, so we're talking about the Action Center. Then we also have chatbots. This chatbot allows customers and employees to trigger things, that is to provide input from their end. That is the front end now. The front end we built on the UiPath apps. It allows customers and employees to now come in to provide inputs or trigger processes. And something they can trigger, like an example of a process you can trigger is checking order status, or maybe posting of data in your CRM. CRM stands for customer resource management. Yes, that's what CRM stands for. So the chatbot allows users to, enter inputs through various forms, be through text, through images, and even through voice. Because if you remember earlier, under the AI capabilities that are being linked with UiPath. You saw chatbots. You can train AI to understand plain language and actually hold conversations with people based on their voices and not even their text. So it is in this UiPath chatbot that you can do all this. Now, the last step in the process of automating or automation is the measurement or measuring. Now, here we gain insight to performance of a robot, a single robot, or even multiple robots. And we also gain insight into the ROI, that is the return on investment for the entire program, that we can compare the amount of things gotten out, that is the amount of utility gotten out of the process of the automation with the amount of resources that are being imputed into it. We can get, if we as a business or as business owners can get a glimpse or get some insight into how profitable our automations are and know whether to continue or not, and also make decisions or make changes that would allow for better performance of the automation. Now, we've talked about the steps here to automate the process. But then UiPath as a whole, or the UiPath suite has 3 core components, which we as developers will be working with. Okay? And these three components are UiPath Studio, which, as I said earlier, is where you build our workflows, you build our automations, and implement the logical steps that will be needed. Then another core component is the orchestrator, which is under the management part. Am I correct? Am I correct? I'm asking the class generally now.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are
Yes,
correct.
you are correct.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Yes,
Yes, you are correct.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The orchestrator is where we control and monitor robots. And then there's the UiPath robots, which, as you said, were broken into 2 broad categories, attended and unattended. So it is with these 3 components that we as developers mainly do our jobs or do what's needed of us in whatever company we find ourselves working. Okay. Now, we talked about robots. Remember, we said there are 2 types of robots, attended and unattended. Now, I would like to expatiate further on that, on those types of robots and the differences between them. The differences between them and how they operate. Now, robots generally are the things that
Can't hear you, so.
it is this. We talked about UiPath robots earlier, right? So it is this or these robots or these robots now, in the case of where we have more than one, that are in charge of mimicking the human actions we want. These robots, they perform these actions on the applications, the files, data, the documents we provide to it. And they also perform complex calculations. Everything is based on what we as developers have created in our workflow. So the robots can perform complex calculations where they are needed. Also, the robots are non-invasive. Now, by non-invasiveness, it means that robots would not go where it's not designed to go to. So it allows for privacy. So there are little to no privacy concerns. Robots will only go where we've told it to go and not somewhere else. Also, they can work 24 hours a day and they improve efficiency and save time. Okay. The robots are basically UiPath execution agents, and they enable developers to run processes. Developers and users actually to run processes which are developed in the studio. Okay. Now, there are two types of robots, attended and unattended. The attended robots now, under attended robots, there are two core attributes of attended robots. That is, or two core attributes that differentiate attended robots from unattended robots. Number one being that they operate with human intervention. What that means is that attended robots now have to or require regular or occasional, depending on the use case. They require regular user inputs. It might require a user to input something like maybe a password or input or make a decision basically. So that is one thing that differentiates attended robots from unattended robots. And also, they can only be triggered by a user. That is, the user has to be there. Human user has to be there to trigger the attended robots, and we do that in two ways. Yeah, we trigger it via our UiPath assistant, or we can trigger it via our command prompt. And then for unattended robots, it's basically the opposite of that now. These ones can work without human intervention. So they don't need anyone to watch over them. They can work throughout the whole day, just doing what they've been designed to do. And then but they work in standalone virtual environments. And because they are unattended now, any action performed by a user on the same machine now would potentially interrupt the process or the working of the robots. So that's why these robots have been designed to work on virtual environments where we can just allocate them, and then no human user will have the need to, interrupt whatever has been set up for the robot to perform. Okay. Yeah. And also for attended robots, work on a workstation. So they work on like computer, for example, is a workstation. So attended robots work on that, and I think I said it before. Attended robots work on virtual environment. Okay. Now, I think we'll call it a day at this point, because I think we are moving towards the end of the class. Now, I would like to open the floor to questions on the topic so far, and then if you have, I would also like to ask some questions to see if they're all following. So, if you have questions, please raise your hand, and if not, I would ask my own questions. Okay, George. Yes, George. What do you have for us, George?
Yeah.
What question or contribution or suggestion?
I want to appreciate you for today's class, and it was really imparting. So my question is on the first session you took. We're talking about the different organization where as the RPA can be used. So I think I want to add one, like a telecommunication. We can use an RPA there now also, right?
Yes, you can.
And then also, Yes, I think we can do a lot with under telecommunication and organization. We can do a lot with RPA. Then my own under banking and finance. Can you say can you maybe associate that with like maybe stock trading and FS trading? Can RPA be used in that aspect? That's my question.
RPA can and should be able to work with that. I mean, it might require some extra work in terms of APIs and integration with whatever platform you want to use. But yes, RPA, once it can integrate with, I think stock trading requires specific platforms to do or to do that and to get information from. So once a developer can integrate an RPA process with the necessary APIs, you can apply RPA to stock trading. So when, let's say you want to, make a trade at a certain with a certain criteria, with a certain what's it called, certain format. You can set up your robot with the best logical processes that would implement that for you or your business. So yes, thank you, George.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. So Anna Emiaka.
Yeah, it's Emiaka, please. So you mentioned something about don't worry, it's fine. You mentioned something about we should download something for, I don't know, I wasn't in yesterday's class. I wanted to confirm and if a link can be shared for me to have that downloaded.
Okay, so the steps to download the studio is on the LMS. I think, are you familiar with our LMS, HighmarkAcademy.tech website, where you get your courses?
Oh, okay. I'll
So
check
if you
that
are
out.
not, then I think, yeah, so check it. If you see it named Installing UiPath Studio Academic Alliance, take that PDF out. The steps are well listed and explained there. So.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'll check it out.
Oh, you're welcome. Hafiz.
Yeah, and well done, sir. And thanks for the class today, sir. So my question is about the last segment of the class where we discussed about attended robot and unattended robot. With my own mere understanding of the concept, like it's an attended robot is a robot that it's being triggered or it's being monitored, while unattended robots are not monitored or so. So basically, I need to understand the way unattended robot actually works.
So unattended robots basically, after you have created your process in the studio now, these robots don't require input. So they can perform simple or actually complex tasks. As far as you don't need a human to, maybe to trigger them, or you don't need a human to input something. And I can give an example of what an unattended robot would like to do. So take for example, we want a robot to look through data in our database. And you can see that the data is already there, already stored. You don't need anyone to come in again and start supplying data to it one by one. This robot now can work free of any human intervention, can work on its own in the background or wherever it is in the virtual environment, and just do what it's designed to do without the need of any human supervision or intervention. I don't know if I'm making sense to you, Afis.
Let me try and explain what probably what I can actually decode from your explanation. For example, now in an instance whereby we have mails received from our customers, and in this mail we have a receipt. So we've programmed the robot to download all receipts received from the customer, then extract a certain document, probably a certain input from those documents submitted, then use it for another task. Am I on the right track, sir?
Yes, look at that unattended report. So, I mean, the main thing is as far as a human doesn't have
to intervene or to. Okay. All right. Thanks very much, sir.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay. Next up, Steven.
Ìbò gbìyànjú o. Ìbò máa yí sí
Steven.
Ṣé Robert tó ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ ọ̀nà tí mo understand àbí?
Nǹkan tí mo ń try àti mọ̀ náà ni mo ti get.
Steven. Okay. William. William.
Sorry, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, William.
So I want to confirm the robot of the thing we're talking about coming to the unattended robot. I want to know if an application of it is what we have like the USSD we see in the telecom system and the USSD in the banking system. Is it same as that?
So that is not unattended because remember this is USSD now. You as a user now have to input. Let's say you want to do option A, you have to input A. Option B, you have to input B. So you as a human are providing user input or user supervision. So that is actually something that is attended, that can be put under attended robots, not unattended. Williams, I hope did that answer your question.
I said I'm having some issues and I can't address them all now as a result of my battery. I don't know if I can get maybe your email so I can contact you when I have a better battery health to ask you some questions, sir.
So I think it will actually be better to address everyone in the class because someone might benefit from asking that question. So you can note them down for tomorrow's class, and then you will go through them at the beginning of the class. That can share parameters to other people.
Okay.
Okay.
Expecting the
okay with you, William?
Yes, sir. I'm saying, when are we expecting the Telegram link you promised us yesterday?
So I spoke to our enrollment director because he's the one in charge of sending the mail. So I think he said he should send it by today, but then I'll remind him again. So let me say I'm making a promise that you see it. The first thing that's the first thing you wake up to tomorrow morning in your email.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay. Arowolo.
Good evening, sir.
Okay. Arowolo, yes, Christopher.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. I really want to appreciate you for yesterday and today. But I have very few questions to ask. The first one is this. On our LMC dashboard, we had some kind of category, like the courses we are going to be taking, I mean, the topics like that. So we started with, I think, the first one. So yeah, today I logged in and I checked. I saw a particular video on foreground or background process or something. So I was thinking that was what we are going to do in today's class. So I spent some time watching them and all. But when we started with something, I think the continuation of yesterday's. So I also want to know what's the arrangement on that one. Is that the outline what we are going to do, or we have to follow what we do when you come? That is from 7 p.m. to now. So I want to know which of them, because kind of yeah.
On the LMS, I guess the courses are arranged in a specific specific arrangement basically. So our course is going to be flowing based on how they are arranged on the LMS. So and if you check, you can see that the first topic there was robotics basic automation. That's what we did yesterday, and we went over it again today before going into the next one, which was introduction to UiPath.
Yes.
So once we are done with that,
in that order.
proceed again. Yes, in that order.
All right, I understand that very well now.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So is it possible for us to kind of go through them, and for some that they like me, I like to read ahead of class, so I know what to expect. And
yeah, you can do that. They are all available to you on the yes, everything is available to you on the LMS. They are available. You can go over them at your own pace, and you can go over them again after classes. So all available to you.
Okay. All right. Then finally, I believe this evening why I was about joining the class, I was confused because I was expecting a new mail and a link and all to go into the classroom like that, because it was not really stipulated that you had to go use the form. I just guesswork and I found myself in the room. So I'd be like, I don't know. Because some people might be lost somewhere, they might be expecting a new mail. I checked the number of those that are online at the moment. It's not what was there. So some people might be lost, that is hoping to get a new mail to enter the classroom. So not so maybe you should just keep reminding us, maybe a mail to tell them that okay, this is the link that you are going to use to continue the classroom till you are done.
Okay, thank you very much for that suggestion, Professor. Yes, I'll take it into account. I would also update it on the LMS so anyone can see that. So we should use that link, and I would make sure everyone gets mails. Everyone gets mails, telling them what to do. So thank you for that suggestion, Christopher.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jeremiah.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. And thank you for today's class. Sir, in the aspect of building and developing, you said you are going to use C# and Visual Studio Code. Sir, there was a team. Sir?
Yes. We're not going to use Visual Studio Code. And we won't actually what I said was that UiPath Studio is built with C# and Visual Basic. So you can use
C#.
Yeah, C# and Visual Basic. So you can, if you want to perform some very complex automations now, you can use some techniques anyone has learned in those languages to perform those complex processes. But then it's not something that you have to know before you can use the UiPath Studio. It just allows you to perform more complex things if you want.
All right, sir. Because there was a team I joined, and whereby our leader was using this Arduino software and Pro Tools because he also wants to create a robot using that. So, and Arduino entails C++. So that's why I'm asking that.
Yes. So
Is there any other?
Arduino and Proteus, those are hardware robots now. I said earlier, RPA is software robots. So we're not going to use Arduino or Proteus or anything. All we'll be using is UiPath Studio and the other tools which they have provided for us to enable a process to go from beginning to end and become RPA deployable rather.
Yes, sir.
Okay then. Thank you, Jeremiah. Then I'd like that for Daniel.
Good evening, sir.
Daniel.
Thanks for the teacher. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Daniel.
Thanks for the teacher, sir. Yeah, as in the question that I want to ask is that you talked about attending robot and unattending robot. Hello, are you hearing, sir?
I am. Yes, I am.
Hello, sir. Yes. Can we
Yes,
say
I
that
am.
most system builds this period? Can we call them attending robots because it involves man's intervention? Most system built in this period, can we call them attended robot or unattended robot?
Yes, now as you said, because these things require human intervention, which is a very
Hearing you, sir.
I said, yes, you can call them attended robots because they require human intervention. So, and that's the very key differentiator between attended and unattended robots. So yes, you can call them attended.
Okay. So as in the unattended robot, is it applicable in all cases when building a robot? Is it applicable in all cases?
Now these things really depend on what you want to use it to do.
Okay.
It depends on what you want to use the robot to do. So when you get to the point of, let's say, automating a process, you would know whether you want a human to be able to, adjust the robot or provide input to the robot, or you know whether you want a human to just, or whether you want the robot to just work on its own, void of human interaction.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Hello, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
My question is that honestly, I got into the class quickly and it's just a blackout thing over here, and I've been trying to. So I don't know if I can get the link to these people on my Gmail because I can't power off my system since. So I don't know if I can get it personally or not.
Okay, so the replay link will be on the LMS also.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
The class is being recorded, so I'll put the link for anyone that wants to access the recording. I'll download the link. I'll put the link to that on the LMS. So you are rest assured.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. And Anna. Anna.
So I already have my question earlier. Sorry. I already asked my question earlier. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Then Kehinde Oluwa. Kehinde Nafiu Moruf Pelumi. Moruf.
Okay.
Sorry,
Good evening.
can you do
Good
good?
Okay. I'm
Sorry.
sorry. Can you hold up for Kehinde?
Should I wait for him?
No, Kehinde ask him.
All right, sir. My question is about the unattended robot. Sorry, please, I didn't get the concept properly. I don't know if you can please explain more on it.
An unattended robot is basically a robot that doesn't require human supervision or human intervention. That's the baseline of a robot being unattended. Once it can work without a human needing to input things or look over it, and it's an unattended robot.
Then we can say that the bank app that we utilize, we can call them unattended robots. Can we?
So for your bank app, so you as an end user, I mean, you have to regularly put in things you want to do. Like you have to be the one to type in, okay, you want to withdraw, you want to transfer so amount of money. So it is still accepting inputs from you as a user. So it's more of an attended robot, even though an attended robots per se, but if you are putting into a category, put it under attended category.
All right, sir. Now I get, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, follow me.
Okay, sir. Sir, the other time when you were explaining attended and unattended and the likes, you shared your screen and I was seeing the PDF. Where can we get that PDF? Yeah, okay.
Is also on the LMS. I remember we are on topic 2, that is introduction to UiPath. So
We are in. I can't. Okay. I'll go to it again. Sir, concerning the exam for this course, is it objective question or we are doing practical?
it's objective question.
All true.
All true objective questions based on a large amount of things. But then if you look through, I mean, UiPath provides an exam, I call it an exam booklet that tells you what the exam will be on, what topics to read. So if you're looking to write your exam, you should make sure that booklet or that document is your best friend. You can get
it's on the
from their
LMS.
website. No, it's on their website now. That is something they put on their website because it changes from time to time. So you always put the latest one on their website. You can go to uipath.com and just browse through it and look for the exams to see anything you need to concerning the exams. Then
Okay. Thank you very much.
Olamide, George.
Yeah, Mr. Timileyin, good evening, sir. Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you. We love you. We really appreciate. God bless you, sir. Secondly, so that means that we're going to build software robotics, not hardware, right? So by using UiPath.
Software robots. Using UiPath.
Okay. So thank you so much. We love you, sir. Bye.
Right. Thank you very much for that. Then Christopher.
Yeah, quick one. I just want to ask if we actually need to register on our UiPath right away. Because I saw a particular resource on the LMC
Sorry,
that
if I can't hear you, I can't hear you, Christopher.
I said do we have to sign up on the UiPath, create our student ID, yeah, something like that. We have to do that now, or when it's time to write the examination.
So, guys, opening an account on UiPath, I think there are different types of accounts you can open. You can open an account on UiPath Orchestrator. So UiPath Cloud, that's for your orchestrator. You can also open an account on UiPath Academy, that is for extra resources. And then the last thing, which I think you're talking about, where you get ID, is for your exam. So that is, you get an ID when you register for your exam, a UiPath ID.
Okay,
So
when we're
that's
about
at the point of for the exam, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, then. So that's the last of the questions. So I would like to thank everyone again for staying to the end of this class. I hope you guys understood everything I'm trying to pass across. And I'd like to wish you guys a good night's rest. I will see tomorrow.
Thank you so much,
Good night,
sir.
everyone.
Thank you so much, sir.
It's
Thank you very much, sir. I'm very, very,
Thank you, sir.
Lectures are
Thank you
so
very much, sir.
understanding. Beautiful.
Thank you very much, sir. My pleasure.
All right. Okay.
Good night,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.